Welcome back to the Millcreek Government Channel. I'm Jessica Stutzman. During the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, we have all experienced increased stress and anxiety from being cooped up indoors. Nature deficit disorder is real and can cause behavioral changes, especially in children. We have discovered a greater need to connect children, families, and communities to nature. Easing our tensions and stress today by talking about our beloved Asbury Woods is Executive Director Jennifer Farrar. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
Well, you must have, again, the most wonderful job in the world being at Asbury Woods every single day. Again, during a pandemic, it has got to be stress relieving being out in the woods and at the facility there.
Sure, even before all of this, there's that moment every day where, and I like to often go in the front door instead of around the back to the staff door, just walking up and just taking a minute to take it all in and looking at the trees, listening to the birds, seeing if there's wind moving, and hearing the leaves move. So even now, it's much more, you take even extra minutes to notice it. But yeah, it's really a beautiful place to be.
Well, it is so good to have you here on the show today. I mentioned in my intro, nature deficit disorder affects children. However, I think being disconnected from nature can affect adults as well. And this disorder I actually learned of from your Facebook page, one of your posts. Tell us how Asbury Woods can be used to prioritize everybody's mental health during the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a growing body of research. What I think a lot of people just innately and intuitively knew, but now there's scientific research studies behind it, talking about how nature and being in nature reduces stress, reduces anxiety. It can help lower your blood pressure, lessen symptoms of depression. It's known to stimulate creativity. So, we all know it's really good for our physical well-being to be out walking and breathing the fresh air, but that mental health and mental well-being part is so important. And as we've seen the results. We've seen all these people flocking to the trails over the last several months. So we're so glad that we've been able to remain open and be a resource for people for that.
I know you don't probably track the number of visitors that come in and out, but have you noticed an increase in people showing up to Asbury Woods?
Absolutely, right. We don't have an entrance fee or no tracking mechanisms, but even on bad weather days, you'd go by our parking lots and they were full. And it's probably the thing that people say to me the most the past couple of months are like, wow, every time I'm on the trail, there's new people or different people, or they're so full. And I've had a lot of people calling me saying, I haven't been there in 20 years, are the trails still there? Or where do I access the trail? So a lot of people sort of finding us again now that there wasn't as many other recreation options. So I think it's a wonderful result, if we had to go through this, for people to reconnect to nature and being outside.
So Jennifer, I heard a saying a couple years ago, and I think it's still true and it applies today, but there's no bad weather, just bad clothing. And so if we dress for the occasion, it doesn't matter if it's windy or rainy or snowing at Asbury Woods, we're still welcome.
Absolutely. We live by that mantra, so it's just having the right clothing, the right gear to get out there and enjoy it. And certainly we have had people coming out since March and in all weather to get outside and enjoy the trails. In fact, sometimes the less than ideal weather days are the perfect time to come because it's less crowded, but you can still get all the benefits of being outside and have a little bit more peace and quiet to yourself. So take advantage of those less than ideal weather days to get outside and on the trails.
Yes, absolutely. So again, Asbury Woods, I know you have been impacted by the pandemic. What modifications did you have to make early on, and where do you see yourself or see Asbury Woods going in the fall season?
Yeah, so early on, like many places, we shut down completely, moved our staff entirely off-site. We didn't know it was going to last this long. Like anyone at that point, we thought, a couple weeks and we'll be through this and back to normal. Well, of course, that hasn't happened. So, on weekly basis, almost, we've been modifying our plans, as many organizations and businesses have had to do. But as we crept closer to the summer season, knowing that we were set up to do a lot of outdoor activities, we started to prepare to do all of our normal summer things, but in modified ways with less people, pre-registration required. So starting in June, we actually went back to some limited in-person community programs, and we've been rolling since then.
And of course, there's been some loss of revenue. Has the community stepped up with donations or anything of that nature?
Yeah, we're very blessed at Asbury Woods that we have a lot of supporters and advocates and trail users, people who have such fond memories as children and with their families using Asbury Woods. So when we realized what the impact was going to be on our revenue streams by canceling programs, canceling Maple Festival, school groups having to cancel at the end of the year, we put out some appeals to our base of supporters and just were very upfront about the impact. And it's amazing the return that we've got on that and the donations that have come in. But not just the donations, the amazing heartwarming stories that people have shared through this about what Asbury Woods has meant to them. And that just sort of is just this really heartwarming thing that reminds us how important Asbury Woods is to the community. And so that's been a wonderful, unexpected result. But yes, those donations have certainly helped fill that gap that we were feeling.
Yes, and so with modifications, were you able to hold your summer camp then?
We are. We did hold summer camp. It was certainly a little different with modifying pickup and drop-off procedures and limiting the indoor space that the kids used. And of course, we are very outdoor focused anyways, so it was perhaps easier for us to move forward with a summer camp than it was for other places because we were so focused on being outside and in nature anyways. But we had so many families that were very thankful that we were doing it. They didn't have many options for their children, and they were just excited for their kids to get back to doing something age appropriate with their peers, being outside, exploring, getting dirty. So we carried on modifications and lots of safety procedures and documents and things like that, but yeah, summer camp still happened.
Wonderful. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. And the summer concert series, how is that going off?
Yeah, so our summer concert series, this is our third year, and last year had grown to such a point where we were having 400 or so people come every Monday night. So this year, of course, we knew that was not going to be a prudent and safe way to move forward. So we transferred to a completely pre-registration and with a very limited number of people so that we could allow people to spread out. And people were very, very respectful of that, getting out of their cars with masks on, finding their spot for their little group and then taking their mask off and sitting and enjoying the music. And again, such great, delightful comments, people being appreciative of having something to do that they felt in a relatively safe way, it being outdoors. So yeah, it's been a much more intimate concert experience for the people who've been able to attend.
Yes, and I'm sure, like I said, just hearing you even talk about that puts me at ease. I haven't ventured out a lot yet, but knowing that, your event is taking the precautions and that your, the event goers are following that, it makes me feel better and it makes me want to attend. So just hearing that again, that just calms my nerves, and I appreciate that.
Some people who say, oh, this is the first thing I've really come to, but yeah. I felt safe. I knew it was a limited number of people. I knew that I'd be outside. I knew I could find my little safe nook. So yeah, it's been really great.
Yeah. Now, are there RSVPs or a limit on the number of people that can attend the concerts?
There is a limit, so we put a limit at 100 people per concert.
Okay.
But every week we have some people who have registered and can attend, and others who just sort of show up and hope they can get in. So we're usually able to balance out right around that 100 people.
Great, that's great. And for the fall, I know you had Honey Harvest and Scary Creature feature. Those were planned. Do we still plan on having those this year?
Yeah, we're going to carry forward. They might not look exactly as they looked in the past, but we plan to be able to do them in some way, shape, or form. our honey harvest had a significant indoor component to it. So we're retooling how we do that to move lots of outdoor stations and stations in our picnic shelter, stations under our gazebo, stations under our teaching deck, things like that, where we can still be outside. I mean, September is just a perfect month in Erie. I mean, it's one of my favorite months. So I think that's going to work out just fine. And Scary Creature Feature, we already made people sign up for assigned tour times. So we're going to, spread out those tour times a little bit more, so our capacity will be less, but we sort of already have a system in place that'll be easy to transition to for that one.
Well, that's great. I'm really excited to see, again, these events go off and, just continue to have the community show up to Asbury Woods and appreciate it and support you financially in whatever way we can. One thing I am very excited to announce with you here today is that Millcreek Township will be partnering with Asbury Woods to continue hosting our residential backyard composting workshops. And I just want to thank you for partnering with us and accepting my phone call and my crazy idea to do this with you guys.
Oh,
so
it's a natural partnership. Yeah. I always tell people those are some of my favorite phone calls I receive, is when somebody calls and just has an idea and says, how can we partner? And we do everything we can to make it happen if it's a natural alignment like this one is. So yeah, we're happy to be doing it.
Yes, and I've been working with Melissa Goodwin closely on those. We picked out 2 tentative dates way back in January, I think it was. We picked out August 22nd and October 3rd, but those may be subject to change, so don't write those down just yet. I want you to stay tuned to Asbury Woods website. And I do want to let you guys know we do support local when we purchase these compost bins for the workshops. They're made locally here in Lake City, PA from Good Ideas Inc. And I've been using this bin for I think 10 years now. I couldn't believe it when I was talking with Melissa. I counted back. I said, I think I started these in 2010, which is crazy to believe. But again, just stay tuned to the Asbury Woods website and we'll have the RSVP up online. What's new this year, and I've never done this, Melissa's walking me through it, we are going to be holding these virtually this year because of the pandemic, and then we'll do some sort of drive-through to pick up your bin. So again, please bear with us as this is all new to me, and believe it or not, I am technology challenged. So
we're all learning new skills.
Yes, I am learning new skills. I'm learning how to use Zoom, which I did not use before, and learning to use my computer skills more than I've ever had to. So, but I want to thank you for that partnership.
Our staff has been too. I mean, in March we said, well, we can't not do our mission of education. Sure, we can keep the trails open, but education and content is such an integral part of our mission. So we quickly switched to a whole host of these virtual visits that are just so much fun. The topics are just all over the place, to do with nature and the environment. So our staff was in very much the same position of having to learn quickly. It's different teaching in front of just a camera, and our marketing director had to figure out a lot of video editing skills, so we all have been there. So we're happy to help you with that transition to make this program go.
Yes, thank you so much, and I'm so glad you mentioned those virtual visits. So I do follow you on Facebook and on social media. You have really neat posts, some beautiful foliage at Asbury Woods. It's a great, like I said, it's a great to watch on a rainy day, because when it's raining, that's a good time to be on the computer, and when it's sunny, you need to actually be there, or you can get dressed appropriately in your rain gear and go. But the virtual visits are super fun to watch. I did watch a bunch of them. They're about 5 minutes long, and they cover everything, like you said. I mean, from eating local to wildlife at night, foraging, local plants. Those were so neat. What a creative idea.
Yeah, it was a really fun way for our staff, because each of our staff members sort of has certain areas that are just close to their heart, and they're just their special things that they love. to do with the environment or nature. And so, you know, a lot of times with our school programming, they don't get to have as much flexibility because it's tied to curriculums. So with the virtual visits, it was a great way to unleash their creativity, to talk about all the topics that they just are passionate about, and that's why you see such a wide range. And, you know, whatever they're talking about is something that they've chosen that topic and just are excited to share with our audience. So I think that's really added a fun element to it. You know, and they're not all filmed at Asbury Woods. Some of them have been doing them out of their backyards. Some of them have been going to other, you know, outdoor spaces so that they can point out variety in wetlands. The wetlands one was all over the place. So, yeah, it's been a really fun and creative process. And I think it's, you know, we wanted to really focus on what we could do instead of, you know, just complaining and thinking about what we couldn't do and what we were missing out on. We wanted to really stop and say, but what can we do? Let's move forward with what we can do and focus and be positive about that. And these virtual visits were a lot of fun.
Yes.
So, and we're continuing them. We've decided no matter what happens, you know, we're going to continue with those because it's another way to deliver our mission to people. Well beyond the pandemic time frame, to continue doing virtual things.
Yes, no, those were really fantastic. I got hooked and I just kind of started going from one to the next and I couldn't stop. So you guys did a wonderful
That's
job. Great. And when I saw some of the ones like you mentioned were at home, were those just done with cell phone cameras or did you have a camera crew there?
No, most of those were just done with cell phone cameras. Usually it was a family member, so there's one or two that I did, and it was me recruiting my sons to be like, okay, come on, you guys have to be my video crew today. And same thing with most of our other staff members, recruiting a family member to capture the footage. We had a couple that were a little more complicated, and we borrowed some equipment from community access media, but most of them were cell phones at home.
That was wonderful.
Family projects.
Yes, no, and what a good family project to do too. If you don't mind, at the end of the show, I would like to show, today's show, I'd like to show a little clip of one of those 5-minute shows
Great.
too, because I want everyone to see them. Asbury Woods has been undergoing some extensive renovations. What were you able to accomplish, and then what does the future hold?
Yeah, so I mean, boy, it's amazing how much has happened. It's just 4 years in that Asbury Woods, the nonprofit, you know, owns the property, that it's not with the school district anymore. So when I think about the past 4 years, what's happened in the transformation, it's really incredible. We had the new boardwalk that opened, we did new signage, we've had to purchase lots of new equipment to take care of the property that they didn't own before, trucks and tractors and mowers and things like that. We've completely revamped and expanded our school curriculum that rolled out this past school year, and we purchased a lot of new technology and equipment to support that. So yeah, we're just moving forward, you know, and when I reflect and think that even during the pandemic, we opened one of our most recent things, which is our low ropes course. And it opened for campers here end of June, and the public now is free to book things for it. But it's something that was funded through some grants and donations, and we were able to complete it just recently. So yeah, we keep rolling with moving forward with things.
Oh my gosh, it just sounds like so much fun. I just want to spend this weekend at Asbury Woods with my family. With the pandemic, I know things are just very fluid in either direction. Do you need volunteers right now? Do you need volunteers for the future? What's that situation?
Yeah, so unfortunately it has affected our volunteerism. Over the summer, we typically would have lots of corporate groups coming out and, you know, spending a 7-hour day weeding a garden or mulching or something like that. And then of course just our weekly volunteers. So that has been a big impact for us, having less volunteers. We do have volunteer projects that people can still come and do, especially outdoor ones that they can come and just do on their own. There's always weeding to do, so if you love to get your hands dirty, you know, really grounds types things is really easy for people to come and do, even outside. We had a volunteer come and take a project normally you do inside, and she just took it out to a picnic bench outside and sat for an hour or two, and I think she was putting together things for the gift shop or something like that. So yes, we still are actively using volunteers and need them.
Okay, and I do find sometimes like weeding and gardening and mulching can sometimes be like therapeutic and meditative. So again, in Asbury Woods, in your nature scene, I think that would be a really serene task to do.
Yeah, for
Is there
sure.
any other way our viewers can support you here during the pandemic?
Well, we always need the community support in the way of donations. That's how we can keep moving forward with these things that I just mentioned, things like the boardwalk, things like we did a renovation to the outside of the cottage part of the nature center, the original cottage that was on the property. We had to do new windows and siding to make sure we preserve that historic part of the property. This low ropes course was 100% done through donations. So donations really drive us forward, and it makes a difference. And I hope people are seeing the tangible difference that community investments are making at Asbury Woods.
Absolutely. Well, I know I have seen the difference. And Jennifer, I just really want to thank you for being here and doing everything you do for the community, because like I said, it is a great natural outlet for people to use, again, especially during the pandemic, but really any time to utilize Asbury Woods.
Well, thanks, Jessica. And we have a great team. You already referenced the volunteers. We have a great team of staff and volunteers and board leadership that, work so well together to continue to make it a community asset, and everyone's very passionate about it. So thanks for noticing and appreciating it. It's our pleasure.
Yeah, thank you again. Viewers, I just want to let you guys know again, Asbury Woods has made everything accessible, again, in person with social distancing and certain precautions in place, but also virtually if you're not comfortable venturing out just yet. I do want you to stay tuned. I'd like to show a very short clip from one of Asbury Woods' virtual visits. So I want to thank you for tuning into the Millcreek Government Channel, and until next time, have a great day.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to another Asbury Woods virtual visit. My name is Melissa Goodwill, and today we are at the Browns Farm section of the Asbury Woods property, where we're going to be learning more about one of the nighttime insects that spends a lot of time here, the lightning bug.
Brown's Farm and its parking area are located off Sterretania Road. There are several grassy trails to explore by day, and large wild field areas where fireflies explore at night. Fireflies and lightning bugs are the same group of insects. What they are called depends on where you live. It's thought that western states where wildfires are more common tend to call them fireflies, and eastern states where lightning storms are more common refer to them as lightning bugs. Although they are sometimes called fireflies, these bugs aren't flies at all. They are actually beetles. Fireflies are able to create their unique glow by mixing oxygen with a pigment called luciferin in a special organ under their abdomens. That glow we see coming from fireflies is bioluminescence, or light produced by living organisms. The primary reason that lightning bugs will glow is to attract potential female mates. Males will fly through the air showing their flash pattern, trying to attract the females nearby. There are over 2,000 species of lightning bugs in the United States, and each one has its own unique flash pattern. They may vary in number of flashes, duration of flashes, and even exact color of flash. Some predatory lightning bugs have even learned to copy the flash pattern of other lightning bugs. Unsuspecting mates fly in and then become dinner for the hungry lightning bug. Other non-predatory lightning bugs are herbivores, feeding off of nectar and pollen from flowers. Lightning bugs change a lot as they grow and undergo complete metamorphosis. Lightning bug eggs are laid on the ground around 100 at a time. The larvae live at ground level, hunting for slugs, snails, and worms at night. They are often bioluminescent and are sometimes called glowworms. They transform into pupa and spend 10 to 14 days underground developing. The adult lightning bugs then emerge to feed and look for mates. The adults live for just a few weeks. Lightning bug populations are declining, but these simple tips can help you to protect lightning bugs near where you live.
Thanks so much for enjoying another Asbury Woods virtual visit. I hope you learned a little bit more about those really neat bioluminescent creatures, the lightning bug. Keep tuning in for more fun and educational Asbury Woods virtual visits.